Darebin City Council is committed to further urbanising its suburbs appropriately in order to balance the present and future needs and interests of the public community and overall create more sustainable and livable suburbs. Melbourne is anticipating a huge increase in population with a predicted 6 million in 2031 and 8 million in 2053. This would mean a gradual change of many forms of public space and built forms across Melbourne and the Darebin community to aid this growth. The Darebin planning scheme outlines that Plenty Road is expected to go through a substantial housing change. Furthermore, as the 86 route accommodates to many universities, it is expected to see a growth in the university student population. Previously, we outlined that there is plenty of potential and opportunity for development on Plenty Road in regards to housing and development, traffic management, relationships between pedestrians, vehicles, cyclists, and trams, as well as public amenities and laneway housing and activity. As consultants for the JJMS consultancy firm, we are proposing a community positive vision for Preston 2031, which is called Preston for the People. Our vision for the Preston precinct of the 86 tram route is a corridor that creates and brings together the people of the community through homegrown urbanism. Through a process of plans and model projects, we will shift the fate of the precinct into the hands of the neighbourhood. This includes creating better movement harmony between vehicles, cyclists, trams and pedestrians, acknowledging and developing the housing potential within laneways, as well as enhancing 24-hour neighbourhood character through the development of community lighting and environments. Through these three various implementations, Darebin will grow in diversity and character, improve the health and well-being of its inhabitants, and improve the appeal of the Middle North, all of which contributes to a more sustainable and livable community.
Plenty Road is a main arterial road relieving traffic off High Street where it begins, and carrying traffic past South Morang. That section alone is used by almost 25,000 vehicles daily. Plenty Road is characterised by a mix of commercial, retail and industrial properties, so encouraging some residential and more commercial developments along the road will contribute towards creating a cohesive sense of place through built form, according to the Darebin planning scheme. The planning scheme identifies the following objectives for Plenty Road: create east-west pedestrian and bicycle connections, stimulate commercial opportunities along the road, and improve safety along the road. The local council in their project to improve Plenty Road have also identified the 86 tram as a priority. Their objectives are a faster, reliable tram by adjusting traffic signals, extending clearway times, adjusting the tram stops to improve the overall traffic flow, and also to create safer environment by removing conflict between trams and cars. In Zurich, there was an extension of an existing tram route. Tracks were laid on existing roads, outer lanes. Many of the stops were upgraded to cater for this and to make them more pedestrian and travel friendly. Part of our vision for the 86 tram route is to make a corridor that creates community through homegrown urbanism. Our proposed plan for Plenty Road in Preston achieves this by prioritising for all. That is, pedestrians, having new friendlier tram stops and safer pathways and crossings, having crossings over the dedicated bicycle lanes. Cars having their own dedicated lane and not having to stop for trams means that pedestrians can enter and exit trams in a more safe manner. Trams having their own dedicated lane that doesn't interfere with vehicles. And for cars, having their own dedicated inner lanes, not having to stop for trams. And cyclists also having their own dedicated lanes on the outer sides of the road. What we propose is that after the Bell Street intersection, the tram tracks split and run along the outer lanes of Plenty Road alongside dedicated bicycle lanes until rejoining in the middle lanes at Malpas Street, just after the Wood Street intersection. Adjusting the traffic lights at Bell Street would also help for better traffic flow. This section would also be a clearway, with no street parking, to cater for the steady and continuous movement of trams, bicycles, pedestrians and vehicles. Perhaps closing the road to vehicle traffic during off-peak times to create a sense of community amongst local residents. There will also be a dedicated tram lane that can be shared with cars. Having dedicated tram lanes also allows for trams to run more faster and frequent. Not only does this meet our vision, but it also meets the criteria of the Darebin planning scheme for Plenty Road.
We'll make use of Preston's laneways, much like the livable laneways currently happening successfully across Vancouver. On this section of Preston's map, there is approximately 7,600 meters of viable laneway, highlighted in red. On average, 16 dwellings fit per 100 meters of laneway, and each dwelling can accommodate on average 1.3 people. Therefore, if each homeowner transformed their garage into a laneway house to either rent out or downsize into, the laneway presented on this corridor's map could be able to take on an additional 158,000 people. When done as a community project, these laneways take on their own identity and foster a sense of togetherness for those living there. One of the laneways that shows great potential is just off of Bell Street, between the Bell Street tram stop and Bell Street station. With a bit of fixing up, this laneway could be a beautiful place to live. These livable laneways are suitable for Melbourne because of its already iconic laneway city culture. Bringing this to the suburbs will expand the types of laneways and their potential uses. For new construction, we propose putting in place height ranges dependent on the location's accessibility rather than the current system of height limits. For example, the height range in general residential and commercial will be 1 to 4 stories, while tram stops would be 7 to 9 stories. This will not only provide more accessible housing, it will give visual landmarks as to where the closest transport option is. To further increase the housing capacity, we will implement a 2-story height allowance, set back from the building's frontage 5 meters. This clearance will allow for sufficient sunlight on the road, and the open rooftop can be used as a community garden for those living in the apartments, adding to the area's appeal. To prevent a cluster of too many tall buildings, the height ranges will only be valid when adjacent to a stop, and for train stations, it would be assigned to the closest building. If 2 modes of transport are next to each other, then the building height ranges will stand side by side.
Another part of our community proposal is making Durban a 24-hour city with 24-hour 10-minute tram service. Economically, the longer a city remains open, the more employment it can provide. In addition to that, the main target group for neighborhood developments are students, a demographic that consistently would use a 24-hour neighborhood, whether it is partying after evening classes, shopping for last-minute supplies for creative and hands-on courses, or going to a cafe for a late-night caffeine-fueled study break. Our solution for small, medium-scale urban design is the use of lighting as a design element that provides safety and accessibility, promotes walkability, and highlights the beauty of the city at night. Some lighting ideas we have come up with include inset road lights which change colors when customers are waiting at a bus and tram stop. This would help reduce the chance of tram drivers missing customers hailing for the tram. Also, we decided that in the future trams would be run on battery power, and we propose using the existing catenary wire structure to provide a platform for more lighting at night, and the use of climbing plants over the wires that would provide shade during the day.
Our 3 various sized concepts that contribute to the vision of Preston for the people would be in line with Darebin City Council's commitment. As the population continues to increase, public transport facilities will become more strained and facilitate poor movement between the public groups. With the major change of transport facilities and road layouts, the movement between vehicles, pedestrians, cyclists and trams will become more harmonious and therefore allow for an improved mobility for all. The 24-hour neighbourhood concept that includes 10-minute tram services and community lighting will overall contribute to an improvement on many qualities of the Preston community. The 24-hour neighbourhood will also accommodate to the predicted student population increase in this corridor. The laneway housing will provide housing to a further 158,000 people and promotes green urban design, promoting sustainability through creating more compact cities, and introduces greenery in the Preston corridor. Plan Melbourne's 2030 planning strategy, planning for sustainable growth, highlights the importance of more compact cities, creating greener and more prosperous cities, creating better transport facilities, and promoting good urban design in order to accommodate to the growth of the population, improve the sustainability of the city, and overall create a better place to live. Our vision familiarises itself with these main concepts. Our vision also accommodates to our previous potential for housing and development, traffic management, relationship between groups of the public and public amenities, targeting what we think are main problem areas in the Preston precinct of the 86 tram route. Overall, our vision creates a new way to effectively use Plenty Road and contributes to an improved relationship between the public and Preston.